Hey guys, Tad Reida here with K-Drive Baseball, and I'm coming to you today from the Farm Sports in Colorado Springs. I'm here to answer a few of your questions. I plan on doing this, every day. So if you have questions, please email us at info@kdratbaseball.com. Shoot me a message on social media, or call us at 719-445-8500. I'll make sure to get your questions answered. My whole goal is to simplify the college recruiting process and the player development process. Baseball is not a hard sport to become really good at, but there's so much noise out there, and I think it's just taking all of it and helping you kind of navigate and figure out what's best. So two questions today that I want to answer. The first is what is the parent's role within the recruiting process? And the second, it's more kind of talking about something that I've seen on social media a few times, and that is this, go to a school where you can play because, a random person made it to the big leagues out of a small school, and that kind of, in their eyes justifies, going down in divisions or with regards to where you can play to have a chance of playing in the major leagues. And I want to talk about that and kind of give my 2 cents. But the first thing is, as a parent, what is your role in the recruiting process? And having been a Division I coach, having my brother that's currently a Division I coach, Shane, who is our recruiting coordinator here at K-Drive Baseball, spent 6 years as a Division I coach at Kansas State, Austin Peay, and Morehead State. So between all of our experience, when we're recruiting a player, we're recruiting the player and not the parent. And what I mean by that is as a coach, we expect to communicate with the player. We expect him to be able to handle his own questions and kind of handle his own business. Parents, you're there to guide the kid. You're there to help lead them in terms of, really what to think about in choosing a school, not just to see the bright, shiny object on visits and help them see the pros and the cons to all the decisions they make. Because, in all reality, a 15, 16, or 17-year-old that's going through this process, doesn't have the maturity level to be able to make these big decisions on their own. And let's be honest, on the other side, as a Division I coach, my job is to sell you guys on the program and why you should come to, when I was at West Virginia, why you should come to West Virginia over, another school. And so your job is to take all the people that your son talks to and kind of really discuss the process with them. When you send out emails to college coaches, that should always come from the player. Basically, all communication should go through the player. If you have questions, I would definitely funnel those, through the player, through an email, a text, or a phone call, or whatever is the easiest. When you go on an unofficial or official visit, or you're meeting the coach, in some other capacity, it's absolutely okay for you to ask questions and you to engage. But when the coaches are talking to players, don't answer for the player. Coach the player before you get there on. Make sure you answer. Make sure you talk, confidently and show them that, you're mature. And those are the things that you talk to your player about before you go. But ultimately, when the coaches are there with you and the player, we want the player to answer. We'll obviously, interact and talk and build a relationship with the parents as well. But ultimately, part of recruiting is making sure that the players have a maturity level and their character is high, and they're ultimately people that we want to bring into a program and build a program around, and that we want to be around all the time. I mean, it's you want to have good relationships with your players, and if you have a kid on campus and he's just kind of a bump on a log and doesn't want to talk and doesn't interact with people, he's probably not going to be a good fit for most programs. So as a parent, make sure you guide your kid in that direction. And that goes to other walks of life, whether it be coaches in high school or teachers or whatever the case may be. Have the player take ownership of that. If he's getting a bad grade, make sure he goes and talks to his teacher and figures out what's going on and what he can do better. And, don't always try to intervene for him, because, ultimately what this whole thing about with baseball and college and all of that, it's setting the athletes up for success later. And maturing is a big part of that. And so as a parent, you kind of have to watch them and guide them. And, they're going to fail and they're going to mess up and they're going to do all of those things. But the sooner you can do that, the easier the college is going to be, because if they're talking to people at 14, 15, and 16, when they talk to a college coach, they won't be as nervous. So, again, guide, help, tell the players what they should be doing and guiding, sending emails and staying on them about scholarships and FAFSA and, all the things they should be doing. But ultimately, it should be the player's responsibility. And your job is just to guide and make sure all this stuff is happening. So I hope that answers your question. If there's anything related to that, please let me know. But we'll move on to kind of my next thing I want to talk about. And this whole, go play at a school or go to a school where you're going to be able to play. And the context was there was a guy in the playoffs right now that came from a really small school. And the premise of, I think it was a tweet, was, if this player would have gone to a bigger school, he probably wouldn't be in the big leagues because he wouldn't have played. And I have a hard time, with that. I think you should go to a school that wants you, but ultimately, and I've had this conversation with a lot of our players, what is your end goal? As a player, if your end goal is to play in the major leagues and you have the talent to play at a big time Division I or any type of Division I program, you want to bet on yourself. Going to a smaller school, whether it be a smaller Division I program or NAIA or a junior college, because you think you have a chance to play there in year one versus if you go in the SEC, you don't think you're going to play there till year 3. That might be true, but look at it, factually. And is it that you're just afraid that you're not going to play and you're going to have to earn some time as a freshman? Because I can guarantee you, it doesn't matter what school you go to, whether it be, it could be a Division II school. If you don't earn the playing time, you're not going to play. It's not going to be given to you because you're some sort of, superstar. So you always want to compete and you always want to go, and shoot for the best school that you can play at. And I can assure you, if there's a really good school that offers you, a good scholarship and wants you, you're gonna have every bit of a chance to play there early in your career as you would go to a smaller school. Is there more competition at a bigger school? Absolutely. They want to win at the highest level, and they're always going to be recruiting and trying to recruit over you. But so is the smaller school. I remember when I was at Wichita State, every year they brought in a shortstop, every single one. And I'm sure the guy that was ahead of me, he was 2 years older than me. He was a starting shortstop, and they brought me in when as a freshman. And it was his job to continue to beat me out. It was my job to beat him out, and that's just the cycle, and that's the nature of the business at that level. Is you have to earn a job year in and year out. But in all reality, with regards to this guy has a chance to play in the major leagues because he went to a smaller school, I'm not buying it, because, ultimately, if let's say he would have gone to, LSU or Alabama or Texas or USC or wherever, right? Name a top 25 program. If he couldn't have won a job there, and maybe it wasn't as a freshman, maybe it was a sophomore, as a junior, but if he wasn't good enough to play at a school like that, he would have never been good enough to play in the major leagues anyway. So I'm not saying guys don't go to smaller schools and develop, but most likely those guys that went to smaller schools didn't quite have the development or the talent level, coming out of high school that they did when they were 21, 22. I know of a guy that ended up being a big league pitcher. He was a number one for a while before he got hurt, but he went to I believe it was an NAIA school in Indiana, and he ended up being a very, very good player, but he bloomed late. He didn't have the opportunity to go to a Division I program out of high school. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, in my opinion, somebody that's telling you to settle. And okay, don't take that big scholarship offer because there's more risk there. Go to a smaller school where you have a chance to play. I don't buy that, because if your goal is to play in the major leagues, look at statistics. And statistically, if you play at the higher level you play in college, the better chances you are, or that you have to, get more signing bonus or, make it to the major leagues faster and all of those things. Because ultimately, scouts want to see you play against the highest level competition you can. And Division I baseball provides, higher competition for the most part than Division II. Are there really good Division II programs that can beat Division I? Absolutely. But when you look at who you're playing day in and day out, Division I is going to be better. Junior college is the same way. There's really good college programs out there. But when you look at the overall talent level, Division I level is going to be able to beat them consistently. And if you look at the top 25 in the programs they play, you look at your Power 5 conferences, and those guys, it's like playing pro ball. If you can go out there and really compete well and dominate at a Power 5 conference, and when you're going out and seeing 91, 92 day in and day out, chances are you're going to be able to play pro ball, and the scouts get a chance to see you more because they're watching all the other pro prospects as well. So, I hope that, kind of clears that up. Your goal, if your goal is to play in the major leagues, your goal should be to play at the absolute highest level that you can. And if you don't have that goal, then, or if your goal is to play in the major leagues, but you say, oh, I want to go play Division II baseball, those things aren't necessarily lining up. There's nothing wrong with playing Division II baseball, but statistically, it's a lot harder to go from Division II baseball to Major League Baseball than from Division I on. So I hope those answers all your questions. I hope you got something out of this. If there's anything you need from us, please shoot me an email, info@cageroutbaseball.com. Send me a message on any of our social media accounts. I'll make sure to answer your questions. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to talking with you tomorrow.